All right, today we are jumping into one of the most incredible and, let's be honest, mysterious visions in the entire Bible. We're talking about the four war chariots from Zechariah chapter 6. It is a wild vision of empire, judgment, and divine power that has absolutely fascinated people for centuries. So the vision kicks off with this amazing scene right in verse 1. Just try to picture it. The prophet Zechariah looks up and sees four war chariots just thundering out of a pass. But these aren't just any old mountains. They are mountains of brass. That gives you this sense of unbelievable strength, of something permanent and unmovable.
You know, every single piece of this vision is packed with meaning. The chariots themselves, well, they're ancient symbols of war and total conquest, basically signaling that a huge judgment is on its way. And those brass mountains, they represent the strong, natural borders that separate kingdoms. Borders that are about to get completely blown through by these powerful forces.
Now, at the very heart of this vision are the horses pulling these chariots. And we're about to meet four totally distinct teams, each with its own color and, as we'll see, a very specific job to do in history. These are the engines of the whole vision, the agents sent out to carry a divine mission across the entire earth.
Verse 2 brings out the first chariot, and it's pulled by red horses. Now, whenever you see the color red in Scripture, it almost always points to bloodshed and war, and many see this as representing the powerful and, frankly, ruthless Babylonian Empire, an empire that was known for its raw military power and the path of destruction it left everywhere it went.
Right after that, the second chariot appears, drawn by black horses. Black is a symbol of mourning, of famine, and kind of the grim finality of being conquered. This points straight to the Persian Empire, which would bring a quiet and somber end to Babylon's rule, not with fire, but with strategic, decisive force. Following them, we get the third chariot, this one pulled by white horses. White typically means a swift, clean victory, total triumph. And this is a perfect picture of the rise of the Grecian Empire under Alexander the Great. His campaigns were just brilliant and lightning fast, sweeping across the known world and conquering everything in their path.
And last but not least, the fourth chariot, which is drawn by this really unique combination of grizzled and bay horses. Grizzled just means dappled or spotted, and bay can also be translated as strong. So you've got this mixed and powerful team, signaling a completely different kind of empire, the mighty, complex Roman Empire, which ruled with both overwhelming force and a ton of administration.
So you can imagine, Zechariah himself is just completely overwhelmed by what he's seeing. In verse 4, he turns to the angel who's guiding him and asks the question that we're all thinking. What does all of this mean? And thankfully for us, he gets a straight answer. The angel's answer in verse 5 just completely reframes the entire vision. See, these aren't just earthly armies or some random historical forces. Nope, they are something much, much bigger. And here is where it gets really interesting. The angel calls them the four spirits of the heavens, which you might also see translated as the four winds. And commentators pretty much all agree that this is a direct link to those four great successive empires of the ancient world: Babylon, then Persia, then Greece, and finally Rome. You know, this whole idea of God using earthly empires as tools for his divine plan isn't unique to Zechariah at all. Right here in Isaiah, God explicitly calls the powerful Assyrian Empire the rod of my anger, basically an instrument he's using to carry out judgment.
And this just drives the same point home. In Jeremiah, the prophet records God calling Nebuchadnezzar, the mighty king of Babylon, my servant. Just think about that for a second. The most powerful pagan king in the world is being called God's servant, an agent acting within a divine plan, whether he knows it or not.
So the really crucial point here is that these empires, these spirits of the heavens, they weren't just acting randomly. They were sent out from God's presence with specific missions, heading in specific directions to get a divine job done.
This table here breaks down their assignments from verses 6 and 7. You see, the black horses, that's Persia, they're sent north to take down Babylon. The white horses, that's Greece under Alexander the Great, they go after them to conquer Persia. And the grizzled horses, which represent Rome, go toward the south country, expanding all around the Mediterranean.
But what about that fourth set of horses, the bay or strong ones? They have a really unique role. They aren't assigned just one direction. Instead, they actually ask for permission to patrol the whole earth, to walk to and fro.
They kind of represent these divine agents, or maybe even just the restless nature of empires, always looking to expand their influence and power all over the globe. Okay, so all of this action, all these missions, it's all building to one final, powerful statement in verse 8. The angel calls out to Zechariah and reveals the ultimate purpose of those missions that were sent to the north. This is the big climax of the whole vision.
The angel declares that the chariots sent north have quieted my spirit in the north country. That is a profound statement. But what does it actually mean for God's spirit to be quieted?
Well, it means that justice has finally been served. The conquest of Babylon by those empires sent north was the execution of divine judgment. It satisfied the righteous anger that God had against the Babylonian Empire for all of its cruelty, especially for how it treated his people. The mission was a complete success.
And that brings us to our final thought. This vision presents history not as just a series of random conquests, but as a story where even the greatest empires are instruments in a divine plan. So it poses a powerful question for us. If that was true back then, how does it change the way we view the rise and fall of nations in the grand sweep of history today?